Okay, so everyone, welcome to our agent roundtable. Some great agents here to answer questions for us today. I'm going to start off and give a brief introduction, introduce you to who we have here today, and then start asking some questions. If you have questions, you can write them over. We're going to try to have a Q&A period later on for you all to ask questions verbally also. Let's go ahead and we'll get started. So I'll start with Anthony. Anthony is from DDO Agency. Hi, Anthony.
Hello. Hi, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing fine, as can be expected anyway.
So, Anthony, I'm just going to dive right in because I can't wait. So, this will go for all of our lovely agents. So, I want to know how you got into being an agent, because I know you were a former music director and conductor. So how did you shift courses?
So I was a music director and a conductor in New York for over a decade, and I reached a point where I had sort of lost, the short version is I had lost the love of that hustle, and I had moved west not knowing exactly what I wanted to do. It's sort of funny, the way I found my way into the agency world is I just needed a job, and I answered an ad. I think it was in either Entertainment Careers or Craigslist, and that was at an agency, and I found that I really loved the world, and it allowed me to connect with artists in a way that I missed from my music direction days. And then I went from that job to an assistant job at another talent agency that sort of focused on musical theater, a place called Stage 9. I was there for 4 years as their assistant, and then in November of 2013, DDO bought that company. Basically, they wanted to create a West Coast theatrical department, so they brought me over, gave me full reins, and that's where we've been ever since.
And how long have you been in the agent business at this point?
All told, something like 12 years.
12 years. Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna move over now to Nicole.
Hi.
Hi, Nicole.
I'm in the middle of taking a screenshot of everybody.
Yeah. So Nicole, you represent the best people in the business.
I wonder who we're talking about, Amber.
So I know you're a former performer and now a wonderful agent to many in Southern California and also in New York, and several of the agents here are bi-coastal in representation. So how did you go from performer to agent?
So the short of it is that I was a performer. I did my big claim to fame is that I was the first African-American woman to play the role that I played in the Phantom of the Opera. I was the wardrobe mistress and confidant, and so anyway, that's awesome. When I moved back to LA, I wanted to transition to TV film, and not only myself, but my friends were having the same trouble in finding across the board representation for TV film and musical theater. So I decided the short of it is I decided to start my own talent agency to take matters into my own hands and to help my friends out. The long of it is a longer story because it took a lot of time to process, a lot of time to become an agent, very expensive, but I did it. And now 7 years later, we have a wonderful talent agency representing a lot of clients for everything across the board: musical theater, TV film, commercial, in LA and New York, and we have a lot of Las Vegas talent as well. So that's the short version.
Guys, thanks, Nicole. I'm gonna move over to Todd. Hi, Todd. So you have a BFA in musical theater performance?
Yes.
And you use that and transition to being an agent?
Yeah, I grew up on the East Coast in Orlando and got my BFA in music theater performance, and did my thing there for a while, moved out to the West Coast and joined the trainee program at Abrams Artists in 2002. And it just wasn't for me at the time. I felt there were other things I wanted to do with my life, and then moved back to New York, and got into company managing and stage managing and general managing, and ultimately into casting on the East Coast. And when I came back to LA in 2009, that's just what I wanted to do. So I opened a management company and then ultimately started working over at ATV in 2012, and been there ever since. Actually purchased the agency in May of 2019. So own it outright and just trying to find things for other people that can do the things that I just did not do and didn't have that passion in my heart for. But I love working with actors to get that for them. So yeah.
That's awesome. I think it's really important for actors to have someone who's passionate helping them in the journey, because it's a team basically for
Absolutely.
actor to agent. Natalie. So Natalie also performer. Many Orange County people and other places have shared the stage with you, and now you're an agent. Also part of my first agent team at Daniel Hoff, and left to do other things, start her own departments, and many years ago, left to start her own departments and other agencies. Natalie.
Yeah, so I grew up in Huntington Beach, performing in theater. I went to Academy for the Performing Arts in Huntington Beach, and actually went to high school with the Dawsons. So that's a little fun fact. TJ had already graduated, but I went to school with Daniel and Gretchen. So I know y'all very well. And then I graduated high school and went to Cal State Fullerton and graduated from the BFA theater program there. And then decided to, kick around LA, try to do the, acting thing a little bit. And I was still performing in shows at the time and kind of switched around jobs, was waitressing. And I said, all right, if you can't beat them, rep them. So that's kind of my little quick saying I always say. So got an internship at a boutique agency called Hervey Grimes at the time. Was an assistant there for a little while. And then I said, well, I love musical theater. Why am I doing musical theater? And so got hired at the Daniel Hoff agency for 2 years, working under Dave Secor for a little while. And then, kind of flip-flop, went back to Hervey Grimes doing TV and film. And then as of September of 2018, LA Talent, which is the agency I'm at now, was cultivating their theatrical department, recreating it, so to say, and hired me to head that. And so I represent actors in TV, film, and theater. So not always across the board. I have a small musical theater department, but also a large, TV, film department, but oftentimes few clients are across the board, but not always mutually across the board.
Oh, awesome. Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Natalie. And Julie.
Yeah.
Julie from Go2. So Julie, you trained, which I did not know until recently. You trained at Royal Academy of Dance.
I did.
And then after that training, though, you had a passion for fashion. So you went to FIBM, you did that, you worked as a stylist, and then back to...
Yes, sorry, my computer just froze up a bit. So I trained up until the time I was 18, and then I decided this really isn't where my heart is. And I went to FITM and worked in fashion for a while. And then after doing that for a couple of years, I was like, this isn't really my passion either, but I know I want to do something still creative. So I'm originally from the East Coast. I pretty much grew up here on the West Coast. And then I just woke up one morning and decided to jump back to the East Coast. And I didn't have a job. I was kind of talking to people. I was still sort of sorting out what I wanted to do. And my best friend, who's a dancer who I now represent, I just picked up and I moved. And she was like, my agent is looking for an assistant if you want to reach out to her. So I did. And I wound up getting the job at CESD, it's a bi-coastal talent agency. And I started working the day after I moved to New York, which was great. And I started working in the commercial department. And the agent that I was working for was also a former dancer, so she was developing the dance department. So I got brought on just at the perfect time, and that's why the job was so appealing to me, because it was there was a dance element to it. So I was like, okay, let me explore this and see where it takes me. So I worked in commercials while developing the dance department with her, and I was there for a while. And GTA, where I currently am, isn't fully set up in New York yet, but Lisa and Terry, the owners, I would work with kind of in like a loose district capacity. So a couple years into me working at CESD, they had reached out and said they were looking for an agent. So I jumped back to the West Coast. I've been there now over 6 years. I started out there as a junior agent, worked up to agent. Now I'm the director of the dance department. So the bulk of the clients that I represent are dancers, tours, TV, film, music videos. However, it was very important to me that I was still able to submit on theater and kind of build that department at GTA, since that's what I did at CESD. So yeah, I kind of bounced back and forth for a little bit, and here I am, and it's awesome. And I can't wait for work to pick back up again.
Oh, all of us are super excited to see each other in person. And
I know, this is great.
yes, Bob is on also from Bob works with Todd at ATB. We can find Bob and get him on.
Somewhere in there.
Bob?
Should be able to unmute himself. Let's see.
It looks like he's unmuted, Bob.
Yeah, he should just be able to speak, and he'll.
I'm here. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Hello.
Okay. Hi. So everything froze on this end for a moment here. I don't know if, oh, looks like everyone froze again. Just a moment. All right. Am I there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, good. Just moved to a little better location here. So yes, I'm also with ATB, have been with since 2017. I actually started in the regional theater world after going to school on the East Coast in Florida. Actually, Todd and I were classmates in college. Started off in the stage management realm, quickly moved over to general management and managing directing on several regional theaters along the East Coast, picked up casting at the same time. And then between jobs about 3 years ago, decided that now was the right time, had a meeting with Todd, came on to the stage department at ATB, and have been there ever since.
Thanks, Bob. Thanks for joining us today, by the way. So I guess we'll get started. I'll get started with some questions, some rapid fire questions that are not so rapid fire, but no question. Everyone always wants to know, of course, how do I get an agent? So if I'm an actor and I am looking for representation, how do I get your attention? What is the best way to get your attention? Is it inviting you to a show by referral from someone, a friend, or someone else in business, auditions? What is the best way? I think I'd love to have all of you answer. Let's start with Bob.
All right. Oh, sorry. Everything keeps freezing on this end over here. The number one, I have to say, the number one way we probably get, and speaking for our agency specifically, that we get talent is through referrals of current clients. I think that is probably the easiest way is through knowing a performer or a colleague that has representation through an agency is usually the quickest way to get your materials, accelerated within an agency.
Referral. Does anyone have anything much different from referrals?
Yeah, I mean, for me specifically, I always, obviously resume training, all that kind of good stuff, headshots, referrals are all that great. Specifically for me, when I'm looking for musical theater, viable footage, and for TV and film, a reel. So having that stuff immediately off the bat and easily clickable and accessible, and there's not too many links and I have to click on 70. It's just like, here's my reel, here's my, here are my vocal clips, something that's simple and catchy and, kind of grabs your eye. It's simple. Don't overthink it. All of that kind of stuff is going to be accessible for me and easy to kind of click on, is going to be best way if you're doing it via email.
Anyone else have anything they'd like to add to that?
Yeah, so I would say I agree with both Natalie and Bob. I would also like to say that everyone has a different method of submission and of the submission process. So be very mindful of that, and the best way to go and see what that possible process might be is to visit the website of that agency and just make sure that you don't go against those rules. Like on our website, unless you are a referral, it says do not email or call. And we are really strict about that because we get a lot of emails and phone calls. And so be really careful about how you approach the agent. If you're not coming through a referral, like Bob said, that is the easiest way to get an agent, or to at least get our attention, because we already know the client. So the client is basically stamping your approval and bringing you along on the ride. But if you don't have that referral, do pay attention. And on our website at FSC Talent, we have a submission process where you can actually submit through our site. And as Natalie was saying, which I think is so important, is really paying attention to the materials that you submit. Right now, we're actually having a musical theater open call, virtual one, the first time we've done this whole process. So it's been quite fun. I'll put the link actually in the talk window right now, so you guys, if you want to submit, you can. But paying attention to, I've already received submissions from that where the links aren't working, like Natalie just said, where and immediately you are. I'm not going, especially on an open call, I'm not going to reach out to you and say, hey, your link's not working. I can't give you a second shot when there's 100 or more people submitting. There's just not enough time. And so, so if you don't have everything submitted properly, you're going to lose out on an opportunity. And right now, we have all the time in the world to be looking at these tapes and looking at these submissions. So really pay attention to what you're submitting, because I am actually looking at every single person and I'm really trying to find good people. So anyway.
Well, that leads me to my next question, and I'll start with Anthony on this one. So DDO's been having an open call. Did I see that?
Yes.
Facebook?
Yeah.
So question is, it's a question I have, and I see a couple of questions gearing toward that in the group chat going on right now. So what is it that you are looking for when you're looking for new talent? And then also in these videos, someone wants to know, what do you want to see first in a reel? And then also, what are your thoughts on self-tape versus stage performance in reels?
So yeah, let me start by saying, yeah, we're also, we're in the middle of our virtual open call. Actually, the submissions are no longer, like the deadline is passed. We're now reviewing them. We got over 500 submissions. So it's taking us a minute to kind of go through things. That said, as far as what we like to see in a reel, I'm actually not a big reel person for musical theater. I do a tremendous amount of scouting. I'm at the theater 4 to 6 nights a week, some weeks. I really prefer an in-person live audition or an in-person live performance. I don't love, especially a video of a stage performance just doesn't do a lot for me. So one of the things with this virtual open call is a lot of people, we had very specific requirements. We said, please record 2 songs, contrasting pieces, blah, blah, blah. And a lot of people just sent clips of previous stage performances, which is nice, but not what we asked for. And so I think that to me is important, is just like the ability to kind of do what that individual agent has asked. So whatever that happens to be, for me personally, again, I like to get invited to shows. I like to go see your work. I like to be, most of my clients, I scouted for a fairly long amount of time before I actually signed them. We do once a year do usually an invited call, this year a virtual open call. But for the most part, the people that like just submit and come audition and sign, that's real rare for us. I tend to develop relationships over a few years and try to get to know people's work as deeply as possible before we sort of move forward with people.
Okay, that's a great. Julie, do you have anything you'd like to add on that?
Yeah, so for us, our agency, you know, a lot of dance agencies do in-person auditions, and we don't. Lisa and Terry did one when they first opened GTA, and then I think maybe about 4.5 years ago, we were looking for specific male types, trickers and flippers, and we had an open call then. And for us, it's still referrals and current clients recommending people. And what I like to see personally is different links of different styles of dance is really helpful for me. I think it's great if you have a master reel. I'm not going to tell anybody to trash that and get rid of it. But if you're submitting class footage and there's a ton of people and I can't see who you are, or it's a stage show and I don't know which one you are, it's going to lose my attention. So specific clips, you know, if you're a versatile dancer, if you have a jazz clip, a hip hop clip, you know, if you're a singer, a minute or less, things like that. That's really helpful for me when I'm looking over material. And, you know, most of us that are on this panel come from a background in what we do. So we know what we're looking at, and we can pretty much see, you know, fairly quickly who we're going to want to meet, especially if it comes with a referral.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Amber, there you are.
Thanks, Julie.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I just got a note on my computer that says my internet connection is unstable. Mental. See, am I frozen? I think I'm frozen.
We can hear you.
We can
I
hear
can hear you. I
There you
can't
go.
see you.
There you go.
There you are.
You're back.
Oh, but she's frozen again.
Frozen again. There you go. You're back.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah, my
There she
mental state and my internet connection are apparently unstable.
It's excusable right now. It really
Right.
is.
Thank you. So I'm going to here's my hard journalism bit right here. So, no, not really. Am I still a lot? Okay, am I still?
You're fine.
You're back.
So sometimes actors, they feel like they aren't being sent out enough or not being sent out for things that they are right for. So is that a conversation like that they can have with you and say, like, I don't know if I'm right for this, or should they just go, or should they try to have a conversation about what they're being sent out for, things like that? Like, Todd?
I think, yes, I think a conversation is very important in those cases. I have a thing where I say, don't do casting's job for them. You know, let's go for it. Let's try it. You know, granted, if you call us and say, listen, that is totally out of my range. I cannot sing that. Like, I don't want to embarrass myself. That's one thing. But if it, you know, trust us, trust casting, you know, but a lot of times we'll send a client something and they'll be like, oh, I don't look like that. Well, we sent a picture. So if you think your headshots look like you, then you look like what they're looking for. You know,
Amen.
so there's just have the conversation. I think that's important, and trust that we know what we're doing. Casting should know what they're doing. Like, you know, I mean, Amber, you and I have even had conversations about people like, man, that's not really what we're looking for this. You know what I mean? And okay, that's all right. Like, you know, but they got to trust it a little bit and trust themselves.
I couldn't agree more with what Todd just said. My personal experience as an actress, it wouldn't have happened if I typed myself out of opportunity. The role that I played in Phantom was supposed to be a tall, Caucasian, mind you, tall white person, super, super skinny, or really, really short and fat. I am not that type at all. And so if I had counted myself out and not auditioned, I would not have had the opportunity to be the first Black person, non-type, to play that role. And I feel the same going into agenting. when a client, that's probably one of my biggest pet peeves, when they say that I'm not right for something. And I said, but I just submitted a lot of people for this role, along with all the other agents in all of the country, some outside of the country, and they chose your little headshot to come in. So somebody has a reason why they want to see you. So don't count yourself out for opportunity when somebody wants to see you. Like Todd said, though, if you cannot sing it, and it's out of your range, then yes, please let us know. But if it's simply just a type thing, the description is just a description, but casting sometimes is looking for something outside of that description. And we don't know the whole picture. There are times that I'll submit something that I think is a client who's perfect for the description, and casting will say that person's not right for it. And you're like, but they fit the description perfectly. Because again, we're not on that side of the table. So we don't know the whole story. And so just trust the process, and remember that every audition is an opportunity to meet the casting directors and do what you love. So take it and do it.
Those are some really great points. And as a casting person, you have to know, actors out there, that agents are submitting, all the different agents, as she said, from across the country. Everyone is submitting. So if your agent has sent you an appointment, that means that casting has specifically said they want to see you. So if you don't feel you're right for it, then you're doing our job because we think you possibly could be right for it. Follow-up question to that I see in the group chat. So what if the actor is submitted for something where they just feel like morally they can't do that show, and they don't want to go out for it?
To me, that goes along the same line as not being able to sing something, or, you know, if you're morally against something, and that's just a discussion for us to have as your representation. We're on the same team, and we want to make sure that you feel comfortable and confident, and, you know, all of that stuff, especially when it comes to your limitations, when it comes to morality or whatever, religion, you know, all of that stuff.
Is that a conversation that should happen like in the signing process, kind of just like say, what are the things you're comfortable with, what are you not, that kind of thing?
Yes and no, because I'm sorry for dominating the conversation.
It's okay, no, go for it.
That's a complicated question, just because all the scenarios that are possible in all the world are going to be really hard. So I think it's as it comes. But yes, if you know off the bat that there are limitations that you have, always discuss that with your agent. We're your partner in this process.
That's a great point. I think a lot of people I hear from time to time from different friends where they're afraid to talk to their agent, and like, I don't want to tell them I don't want to do that, I'm not interested, and things like that. But the agents are the partners in this and working so hard for you. Anthony, can you address that?
Well, so I think to back up a little bit, just know too, one other thing that happens in the I'm not that type category, and luckily my clients don't tend to do this a lot, because I think we talk through very early that we're really trying to push people outside of their comfort zone, and we have a lot of conversations with casting directors, with producers, with directors, to try to sort of expand what they're looking at. So I think a lot of people know that that's sort of like the beginning of a conversation or the end of a conversation. As far as like the relationship with the agent goes, I think if you legitimately, first of all, if you don't respond to material, I never mind a pass, or I almost never mind a pass. And if I feel strongly one way or the other, I'll tell you why. And I think you have to be open to having that conversation. Actors frequently have sort of a strange relationship with the agent. It's like this power struggle. And I hate that. That puts me on edge, because to me, I'm doing my job, you're doing your job, but we really are a team. And I think if you feel like you can't approach your agent without upsetting them, or without without some sort of aggression, I think that that's not healthy. I think it's time to find someone that you communicate better with, perhaps, or to fix the communication problem. Because, I mean, everyone on this panel, we're all pretty similar. Like, we're all very good at this. We're all very passionate at this. We all have a background. We're all really smart. Like, everyone on this panel is a great colleague to have. And I think, you know, we all do business a little bit different, but it's not so different that any of us is like this completely off the wall. We're gonna, you know what I mean? Like I think it's about like sort of fixing and fine tuning the relationship you have rather than just looking to swap out parts, which I feel like a lot of people do.
Thanks, Anthony.
Thank you.
So it's so great to have you all here to be able to ask all of these questions. I'm gonna move on to the next question. I'll start with Todd on this one. So how much work or do you mind your clients if they're looking for work for themselves? Do you want them out there hustling, or do you prefer that they leave it to you? How does that work?
I mean, personally, I want them out there doing, you know, their end of it, and they have to. There's, I mean, no matter how, like Anthony said, everyone, I know everybody in this group, everyone's really talented. They do a great job, but we need them out there too. You know, especially with the level of competition that's out there, they still need to be hustling, and they're going to do their job. We're going to do our job, and it's going to come together. It's all going to meet in the middle. And that may just mean going to an EPA or an ECC and just being seen by that theater. So the next time we go and we're really doing that pitch, they've been there, they've seen them, they've done that. It's a collaborative effort. I know that, and maybe someone in the panel feels differently. I know there are agencies out there that don't want their actors going to those types of calls, but to me, I'm just like, man, maybe I should, I don't know. It just seems, that's brave. It doesn't seem to me like the right thing to do at all, but good for them. But no, definitely, I want them out there. I want them showing their face.
I took a workshop once, and the person, it was a commercial acting workshop, and with Killian, and he said that, you know, you are agents, you have so many people that you're representing, and we are the only person who is only thinking about ourselves, other than your mom if you're a single child. I'm single child. I'm single, everyone. And just had to throw that out there, I guess. Only child. So like, you're the only person who's focused on you. And the thing that really struck me that he said was that your agent gets 10% for what they do for you. So that means, what are you doing with and for your 90% that you have to focus on you? And that just really struck me to like, oh yeah, my agent can't be the only one working for me. I got to work for me too. Right. Natalie, you have something to add to that?
Sorry, it froze up. Who were you talking to?
Natalie, you.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, Natalie.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree with you more. You know, I always say there's, you know, the wheels on the bus are turning. You know, your agent's kind of driving the bus, but, you know, they're often, or you're driving the bus, the agent's there. You know, everybody's kind of working together at that aspect. You know, work begets work. So if you're, you know, sitting at home waiting for the phone to pick up, you know, that might not be as often as you would like it to be. But if you're out there kind of generating work for yourself, yeah, going to the ECCs, you know, submitting yourself for short films, getting new footage for your reel, taking a new dance class, you know, something that's going to kind of creatively get your juices flowing, especially right now. You know, we're all kind of like sitting here going, okay, you know, we're all kind of in limbo land. And so now's the time to really sit down and kind of sit with yourself and say, you know, what have I not been doing up until this point that maybe I could be, that once this is over, here's what I'm going to do. So it's, you know, making a list and going through, like, have I taken those dance classes? No. Let's sign up first thing when that starts back up. You know, did I get into that voice teacher's class? Nope, haven't done that. Let's get on that. You know, take a new acting class. I always say you want to try to pull from your bag of tricks and make that bag of tricks as large as you possibly can. So, and that's only going to help grow your craft and your skills and abilities. So even more stuff for your agent to be able to kind of pitch you on when they're going to pitch you to casting and stuff. So yeah.
I have a follow-up question to that from the group chat. So if you book your own work and you let does your agent get 10% of that?
It depends on your contract, but usually yes.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit more flexible with my clients in certain areas, just because in the dance world, especially, you know, some of our clients are hopping from gig to gig on the side just to support themselves. So if they bring me something, if they need my help with it, if they have a few questions about it, that I'm not going to turn around to them and be like, great, bring me $10 for this. You know, it's more of just a communication and a case by case situation. Obviously, the bigger contracts, the bigger jobs, the auditions that they are getting through us, all of that comes through us. It's handled by us. Sometimes even jobs that we're working on, maybe a choreographer will reach out to a client directly and say, I really want you on this project. And they go directly to them, but then we kind of all join forces, and then that would run through the office. But I never want my clients to feel scared to tell me that, oh, this is what I'm doing on the side, because they don't want me to commission it. Chances are I'm not going to, but it's great for me to know that, so that I know who they're working with and what they're working on, so that I can apply that to the next submission that I'm going to be doing.
Yeah.
If it's
I also
I'm
waive on a lot of
flexible.
small dollar projects. I'll waive commission, but it's always, I always just say it's my decision. So just let us know and we'll figure out. Like, I'm always open to that.
Yeah, and same, you know, some of the non-equity contracts that maybe my clients are doing in the theater world, it's again case by case. Maybe we'll do, okay, 5% for this is the rate's lower, you know, and you have to take so much time off of work. So it, you know, I feel like everybody on the panel too, you know, is we're flexible, but obviously the stuff that is pretty, you know, cut and dry, that comes through the office, but there are cases where you can't just go by that.
And to be clear, if it's union work, the unions have strict guidelines for specifically actors' equity. It's very clear that it doesn't matter who begets the work, whether you get it or the client gets it or you produce it yourself. If you're signed to an agent under an specific actors' equity contract, the commission is due regardless.
Correct. We lost Amber.
We lost Amber. We're all waiting for the next question, and I'm like, somebody disappeared. Who disappeared? Oh, Amber did. Okay, cool.
Seems important to this.
But I think we're all in agreement that we're all pretty flexible when it comes to that. Just discuss it. When you book something, just discuss it with your agent first. And, you know, we also need to know it for scheduling and everything else. So keep us posted.
Well, and the worst is when you're specifically pitching a client for something only to find out that they've already been cast. I actually had that happen once. That was quite an experience.
Wow.
And then also to be careful when you're submitting yourself, which, you know, we kind of established with our clients, if there's things that you want to be submitted on, reach out to us and ask. That's why we're here. The double submissions get a little muddy. You know, casting directors, everybody knows they don't like double submissions. You know, it could block our submit. There's a ton of things that could happen, and that's why we're here, is to submit you. So, and then if we don't have access to it, we'll review and say, okay, this is something you can submit yourself, you know, and then just keep us posted. So again, it all falls back on the communication of everything.
Amber, do we have you back?
I can see and hear everyone. I don't know if they can all see me.
We can hear you. There you are. Yeah.
There you are. We lost you for a moment, but we filled in. So it's back to, we're happy to see you again.
I'm so happy to be seen. I heard, let's see, Julie was mentioning something about double submissions. And so, yeah, I see that a lot. I'll see the actors submit it themselves, the agents submit it themselves. But something else I also see is if a manager has submitted them and someone asked a question in the group chat about agents and managers. I think I froze again.
9 out of 10 times, if you have a manager and an agent, you're going to be double submitted anyways. You know, they have their own set of breakdowns. I have my set of breakdowns, so it's going to happen. At that point, it's now, when it's with me and my agency, you know, it's now up to myself and my relationship with the manager to then chat with them and say, hey, okay, cool, we're both in the same role. Who's taking the lead on this? You know, manager takes the lead or I take the lead. You know, they're definitely not, or we'll tag team and we'll send one pitch and we'll CC each other. And then, oh, who has the better relationship with you? You know, the so-and-so office. So, you know, managers and agents should really work. I mean, I like to work in a very, you know, team environment, and I really enjoy all the people I work with on management teams. So, you know, it's always an open conversation, especially, you know, because yes, double submission is going to happen regardless. So you don't want, you know, you don't want a agent, as I always say. First thing I always say when I have my clients go interview for managers, I say to them, okay, first question is, what are you going to do that my agent isn't already doing? So, right, that. So, they're the ones with the relationships who are taking casting out to lunch, or heads of casting or producers, or, might be taking Amber Sneed out to lunch, which they should be doing. So judging the casting company a little bit is what, I always kind of say. So, but it's always a collaborative effort, which I love.
And I think there's a few follow-up questions on that. Is it necessary to have both a manager and an agent? Do you recommend getting one first
Well, that's like Natalie just said.
over the other same time?
So like Natalie just said, your speech got really slow, Amber. So when it comes to whether or not having an agent or a manager, like Natalie just said, make sure if you have an agent already and you're about to bring on a manager, the first question you want to ask is, what are you going to do that my agent already doesn't do, which is submitting me? If all this manager is going to be doing is also submitting you, how does that really add to the team? So remember, this is like, and also remember, you're going to have to pay that manager a percentage of everything you make for every job. So you're paying your agent and your manager. So, and managers can take between the 10 and 15, sometimes more. So that's 20 to 25% of your salary. So you have to make sure that that additional person, whether you're adding an agent to your team and you have a manager, or adding a manager to your team and you have an agent, make sure that they are actually adding to your team, adding value, adding productivity, that they are taking Amber to lunch, that they are doing all of the other stuff, that they have more relationships, that they've maybe been in the business longer and they're producing. A lot of managers produce and create and do a lot of other things. So that could be a benefit to you, but make sure that they are adding that extra 10 to 15% that they're going to be taking from your salary.
Great. Did we lose her again?
I can't tell if I'm frozen or not right now.
Amber, you're not. You're fine.
Well, you were fine.
You were
Yeah.
fine.
And then it all went wrong.
So she can hear everyone.
She can hear everyone. Okay. Well, let me just see. Well, I'll pop in.
I'll say too, part of that question was, is it important which one you get first? And the answer to that is unequivocally no. I think when you do have one member of the team, I think it's smart to talk to them before adding a second member, whether it's agent adding a manager or manager adding an agent, because I get along and work very well and very collaboratively with 99.9% of my manager partners, but there's always that handful, and I think it's smart to sort of make sure that they have a good working relationship, or that they can cultivate a good working relationship too.
Yeah.
See Anthony.
Oh, Amber, you're frozen just a little bit. I'm gonna pick a question that I just see from the chat. Do the agencies want to see in a cover letter an actor? Do agencies want to see in a cover letter when an actor is first introducing themselves to an agency? Is the question.
Is that what do we want to see?
Yeah, I think so.
Yes.
Okay. I'm like,
Yes.
I think that just goes back to the referral question, and who is referring them. And also make sure that if you're reaching out directly, the person that you are using as a referral actually is referring you. Because
Yes.
I've had people drop names and I've reached out to those, really close clients or choreographers, and they will say, I'm not referring this person. I didn't know that they were reaching out. And I usually will always reach out if somebody's reaching out to me directly, because if that choreographer, casting director, client wanted to refer someone, they usually would refer them themselves. So just always make sure when you're writing these cover letters or you're submitting, that everything in there is accurate and you've followed through with everything, so that there's no holes, because then automatically if somebody comes back to me and says, no, I didn't refer this person, you know, I've lost interest.
Yeah.
I think
I would also
that's like,
suggest, oh, sorry.
go ahead, Nicole, please.
I would also suggest brevity in that cover letter. So remember that as agents, a big part of our job is email. Before Corona, I was probably 200 to 300 emails a day. So when you're reaching out, even with a referral, there are times that I get these emails that are like novels with like,
Yes.
I was born in 1922 and I lived in la la la. Listen, get to the point. I need a link. I need to hear how you sing. I need to know who your referral is, and let's move on. Because, you know, like one of you guys already said, that all of us have been, most of us have been performers before. We've been in this for a long time, so we know what we're looking for. So just give us the highlights really quick and get to the point.
You know, we're coming down to, I'm sorry, we're coming down to our last few minutes together in this session, and I can't thank you all enough for being here. I'm sure Amber, if she could, would say the same thing. Well, I thought, we'll take one more question. Do the agents have any opinions on union versus non-union and how that affects submissions? Anyone want to take that?
What a loaded question.
I can go from our agency itself. I think it depends on, as far as whether it helps with submissions. I'll just answer one of the, we had a casting director from one of the big New York agencies having a Zoom meeting with our clients just last week. And that question specifically came up, and their answer, if you're submitting for an equity project, doesn't matter whether you're union or not when you're being submitted. And their answer, at least for their office, was flat out, no, it doesn't matter. If I feel like I'm going to bring you in for the part, I'm going to bring you in for the part, whether you're union or not.
And on our side, for sure, we treat all of our clients as if they're union. If you're on the list, then we think you can originate roles in Broadway shows. So there's no like B list as far as we're concerned.
It's a piece of, I mean, I don't want to, not to get into the equity versus non-equity discussion at all, but it's a piece of paper. That's not the determination of whether you're good enough to do those things. And just because you may have not worked in as many equity theaters or not, if you're right for it and you can do it, then we're going to submit you for it. I don't care what your union status is. And most casting, I would say 95% of casting offices won't care unless it's a specific contract situation.
Yes.
Where they need an equity person or they need a non-union person. That's when it really does make a difference. But otherwise, I don't care.
And I think I can probably speak for everyone on this panel when I say we love getting people their equity cards. It's one of the great victories of our day.
Yep. Yeah.
Well, that was great. You know, so this ends our session. We've run out of time. And Natalie, Todd, Bob, Nicole, everybody, thank you so much for your generosity of spirit to impart this wisdom to all these very hungry minds that need to know all of these things. We're so thrilled that you would do this for us. It's such a, in this day and age, in this time that we all find ourselves in, the fact that so many people are stepping up to help us out is just amazing. Amber, can you say anything?
Anything.
She said anything.
Perfect.
Oh, there you go.
We got it.
Timing is everything, right? Timing is everything. Well, on behalf of Amber and our entire 3D Theatricals family, we want to thank all of you.
Oh, no.
For participating in our 3D session today.